Hello Year 4 and welcome back to this is our our fifth session on the writing block that we're doing about the lights on Cotton Rock, and we're going to be focusing in today on plot point 2 when Heather is sat on the rock and she's flashing her light up and down up into the sky. So the whole purpose of our writing today is to try and gather some phrases and words that's going to help us write that plot point 2. So this is what we're going to particularly be focusing in on today. We're going to be thinking on what Heather can hear sat on the rock, what her inner thoughts are as she sat on the rock, and we're going to be using those adverbial phrases again because that's a big push for Year 4 is to be able to use adverbial phrases. So, if we remind ourselves of how Heather was feeling at parts of the story, we agreed that Heather in plot point 1 when she was leaving the house that she was in the positive end, so she wasn't feeling ecstatic but she was okay, she wasn't miserable. And I think for plot point 2 when she sat on the rock, she's still there, she's still a little bit sort of anticipating something, she's still eager to find things, so she's still in that positive side of the feelingometer, if we like. So we're going to try and keep our words and phrases more positive because that's how she was feeling. That reflects the mood of our story. So if we think about what she could hear, I would like you in a moment, not now, to pause the video and I want you to jot down as many things that you think that Heather could hear while she sat on the rock in the middle of the woods in the middle of the night. And I want you to think about, can you think of some really good descriptive words and phrases for what she could hear. So I don't just want you to put snap, like the snapping of branches or the hooting of an owl. So have a go, jot some bits and pieces down now because you'll need those tomorrow. Right, and moving on. So adverbials we looked at last week. They are the phrases or words sometimes that explain how or where or when or why the action is happening or what is being done. And we're not going to spend too long on this today because you've already gathered quite a lot of adverbial phrases, the how, the where, the whens and the whys from our work last week. But just to refresh your memory, I've got a few here. Oh, I'm not sure if you can see them because I'm in the way. Hold on, I'm going to move that over here. There we go. So, a how is quiet as a mouse. That would be an adverbial phrase. It's saying, how did it happen? It happened quiet as a mouse. All around explains where it happened. It happened all around. The in the distance again explains where something happened or where something is. In the dead of night explains the when it was or when it happened, and the why is due to the darkness. So she might have turned on her torch due to the darkness. So those adverbial phrase gives us they expand the detail about how, where, when and why. And you've probably got some of those already from your work last week, and some of them can be transferred from one bit of writing to another. So you might want to jot a few more down in your work today, so you can pause the video and have a go at doing a few more if you would like to. Right, I'm going to move me back to this side now, and hopefully we're going to look particularly today at inner thought. And we haven't really done very much about inner thought. So we're going to focus a little bit carefully on that today. And I've got an example from the book that we were reading, and Mrs. Davidson has just finished reading with you, The Boy at the Back of the Class. And inner thought is where the author tries to get the reader to know what is going on inside the character's mind. That's why it's called inner thought. It's going on inside the character's head. So this is an example from the book, The Boy at the Back of the Class, and it was where the character, we never got to know the name of the character, I don't think, was explaining to Hammett about the character Tintin and the books that he had. So I'll just read it to you. And the inner thought, the thought that's going on in the main character's mind, I've put in red so you can see that. So it went, "You know Tintin?" I asked, surprised that I hadn't thought about it before, but I guess Tintin is famous everywhere. "I keep this?" asked Hammett, taking the book. "Oh," I said. I hadn't really meant to give him the book, I only wanted to show him it, but I thought Mum could find me another old copy in the library, so I shrugged and said, "Sure." So actually, the only bit that was said out loud was "oh" and "sure." The rest of it, the bit in red, was going on. It was that inner conversation that the character was having in their head. And this gives the reader a really good insight about what kind of things the characters are feeling, and also helps move the story on a little bit. So today you're going to really focus your jottings. You can jot things down about adverbials if you want to. You can add to your vocabulary bank there. You can jot things down about what you could, or perhaps what Heather could hear out in the woods. But the thing that I would really like you to get to grips with today is how can we explain these inner thoughts to the reader? And here the big clue was that he said, I hadn't really meant to give him the book, I only wanted to show him it, but I thought. So there's that word thought there. I thought Mum could find me another old copy in the library. So the word thought is giving him a clue that that's what's going on in his head. So to help you a little bit, I've got some sentences that you could use to get you going. So you could have, as Heather sat on the rock, something Heather thought to herself. So what could she think to herself as she was sat on the rock? Wondered is another way of getting the inner thoughts of the characters. Heather wondered. What did she wonder when she was sat on the rock? It occurred to Heather. That's another way of what she was thinking about. She pondered. That's another synonym for thought. And what did she say to herself? So if you use those I think there's 5. If you use those 5 little sentence starters to get you going, if you can think of something to put there, then you're going to be well on your way to getting the inner thought of the character and be able to put that across in your writing tomorrow. So your task then today, I would like you to collect some phrases. It could be words, it could be sentences for the 3 focuses below. So what could Heather hear, sat on the woods? What was she thinking to herself, sat on the woods? And can you add to your time of verbials vocabulary bank? Now, they don't have to be organised in sentences for the hearing or the adverbial phrases. You can jot them down, you can randomly put them on a page, you can bullet point them. When I did mine last week, I had them all over the place, so you can do the same. But you might want to go back to this slide here, or I could actually put it for you on your learning pack. I'll do that. I'll put it on your learning pack. And you could see if you can think of a few sentences with some of these characters' inner thought using like the little prompts that I've used. And we're going to put all of those together, and I will model you a bit of writing how I put the what Heather could hear, what her inner thoughts are, and some adverbials. I will model a bit of that for you tomorrow, and I will see you then. Bye bye, Year 4.